Podcast, the next expansion of the Beer Garden Empire. Barney Boy, our Club Trev's resident sports reporter, will be joining us every week to talk footy before each round. And this week we're joined by our special guest, CEO of Serious About Rugby League website and presenter at the Final Whistle podcast, Trev Smith. What's going on, Trev?
Not much, mate. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on this week.
Pleasure. And how are you, Barn?
Yeah, going really well, mate.
And we're excited to be kicking off rugby league season.
Exactly. Yeah. Footies and frothies, two of my favourite things, mate.
They go well together.
It's the best time of year. It's like Christmas.
How's your summer been? What do you get up to in summer?
For summer, mate, like just watch a bit of the cricket, not too much, and just kick back and relax. Like this summer, I got to relax more. No pre-season. We've not been involved with any clubs.
Yeah,
felt weird, but it was good.
Yeah, awesome. Just for those that obviously don't know you yet, probably for the listening audience listeners to come to Club Trev. Tell us a bit about your background. You've worked with plenty of rugby league clubs over the years and even coached overseas.
Yeah, definitely. I've been involved with a few clubs. I've been at Mounties, Blacktown Workers Seagulls, where I was the media communications manager. Mm-hmm. Overseas, I got to coach at the Red Star Belgrade over in Serbia. And obviously, being with Serious About Rugby League, I've had a lot to do with the game over in the UK.
Yeah, awesome. Let's touch quickly on the stuff in Serbia. How was that experience for you?
Mate, it was good. It was different.
Yeah, how long were you there?
Originally I was meant to be there for 12 months, but I was only there for a couple of months. I remember leaving Australia in January. It was like 47 degrees, and landing in Belgrade, and it was minus 10. I felt like I was Rocky Balboa in Rocky 4.
And how was getting through a pre-season in like Arctic conditions?
Yeah, it wasn't really much of a pre-season. Because of the weather and trying to find somewhere indoors.
Yeah.
But once we got out on the field, it was just doing what we could, just get the players ready and that. But once the winter was over and we were able to train properly, it was pretty good.
And how's the facilities and how's rugby league in that part of the world?
Yeah, rugby league's grown throughout the Balkan region. So obviously you got games played in Serbia, Bulgaria, Bosnia, Greece, Turkey. So, like, the game is growing throughout the Balkan region.
And what would the standard be like compared to park footy here, higher than that?
Obviously, it's still all developing over there.
Yeah.
So, like, you probably get, like, one or two players that could probably play at a higher level. And I class it on probably just park footy. But, they're still developing, so, yeah.
And you've had the players that have come over and played lower grades here? Was there one of your boys came over?
No, like when I was over there, none of the players actually have came over and played.
Okay.
Over here, but one of the boys after I left went and played in England, and that as a Serbian, just played for one of the local teams in Sheffield. Yep. And I believe he did all right.
Yeah, awesome. And you follow the Super League quite closely as well through your website?
Yeah, sure do. So I follow the Super League, which is pretty good. I know not many people rate the Super League over here, but to be honest with you, like when you watch it, it's a different type of game what we play here in Australia, where our game's really structured, and over there they still allow the halfbacks and that to play what's in front of them.
Yeah, and they have. I know, like the thing was, I guess 15 years ago, players would go over there for their retirement and make the big money for a couple of years and play second tier sort of footy. But from what I've seen, the gap's closed between the NRL and the Super League. And especially look at the real hot English forwards that come out there, or they are some of the best props even in the NRL.
Oh, look, let me be honest with you. Like since the beginning of the game, got to remember, Australia was always second fiddle to the Poms. It wasn't really up until probably in the 1970s when Australia started to dominate, and then obviously we remember what happened in the 80s on the 82 tour and the 86 tour, where both tours they went for undefeated.
Yeah.
But since then, the Australian game's moved forward, and the game over in England has sort of gone backwards. And what I sort of think has hurt the game in England, and this is just my personal opinion, when they went with Super League and they took it to the summer.
Yeah.
So now, their seasons are playing at the same time. So the players don't really get to go over how they used to. Finish here, go over there and play, then come back.
Yeah.
So, but when the players go over, you're right. Some players used to go over, just take the money and that for a retirement. But obviously now there's more money to be earned in the NRL. So I've always believed that the Poms make the best forwards because they're just tough.
Yeah.
So they come over here and make their money here. They get paid more money over here.
The Burgess boys, James Graham, Gareth Ellis, Morley,
Adrian
Bateman.
Morley. Yeah, there's been plenty of them over the years. Even go back to in the late 80s where you had like Ellery Hanley and
Yeah.
like, he was good, and even before that. So there's been that many of them. So yeah, there's so many. I could just keep on going.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's your summer been, Barney? We've heard a bit of you on Club Trev. We haven't had you on since Christmas, have we?
No, I haven't been back since Christmas, mate.
Sorry about that. It's been happening. Not taking wickets.
Yeah, exactly. Not taking wickets.
Me too.
Still ended up one in front of you, I think.
Who's counting? No one put up a big post about the race to 500, did they?
No, yeah, just playing cricket, mate. I got the little bubs as well, so she keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah,
As soon as I get home from
and how
work.
excited you for footy season? You watch literally 8 games around. So.
Pretty much, mate, yeah.
Yeah.
if I've got nothing else doing, I'll be sitting down watching the footy.
Yeah.
Having a beer. Yeah, I love the football, especially the way that obviously you do get your dud matchups here and there on the weekends, but just the standard is, I think it's still rising as it is at the moment. So
I think it was. I think last year especially there was no massive blowouts. You get one every now and then, but there's no real great blowouts. Even where you think there'd be a walkover, Canterbury would hang in there, or
yeah, Titans will put up a fight.
You don't get sort of the. This will get me in trouble for comparing it to AFL, but the AFL style 100-point blowouts where no one cares except for the Richmond fans.
The Titans won by 100.
Yeah, exactly. So, but apart from that, it's been the comp the last couple of years has been enjoyable. I think at times the depth probably has shown up when they get a spate of injuries in clubs. That I'd be concerned. I don't know what you think, Trev, if they went to more than sort of 16, 17, 18 teams, is there really the pool there to play 18 first grade teams?
I believe the pool is there. I just think clubs and their recruitment have to look different. You know, if they want to bring the smaller guy back into the game,
Yeah.
because I'll be honest, there's plenty of small guys that get through the junior reps, the under 20s. They go and play like reserve grade, either in like or Canterbury Cup or Intrust Super Cup up in Queensland at a young age, and they're doing what they have to do. But then when it's time to take the step up to first grade, you're too small. But they've been playing at that level for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they too small? So I think if clubs look at their recruitment and try to bring younger guys into it, or the smaller guys, I think that there will be a lot of talent there.
Yeah, I think when we got onto our Super, we were just chatting off air that you don't really play Supercoach just because your rugby league commitments over the years haven't really allowed it. But when we do talk Supercoach, you would have seen a lot of the younger, I guess, cheaper guys that are now coming through, being at your Ron Matthews and Canterbury Cups each and every week. You'd have seen a lot of them in the flesh.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you'd be able to help us out with maybe a few guys.
Yeah, mate.
At no notice, which I probably could have given you.
Mate, I'll be honest. Like last year, I also call games on Swire FM for Canterbury Cup.
Yep.
And I remember last year in the final series, I remember telling everyone in week 1 of the finals, because everyone was saying, who's going to win the games that day? And I just turned around and said, I reckon Wentworthville and Newtown will play each other in the grand final. They were 7th and 8th, and they made the grand final. And everyone goes, we remember you saying it. And mate, one player like that impressed me really the most out of all that was Billy Maguire, who's signed with Cronulla.
Yes.
And I've told people, like, if you're cheap, you go with him. But it just depends if they pick him in the 17 or not. And as we're seeing, what I've seen from most people, all the cheapies haven't been picked. So people are scrambling around trying to change their Supercoach teams.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
The
majority of them have missed the 17.
We might get to Supercoach, and we'll get to that actually and talk about, I'll write that down, the cheapies and the Daily Telegraph hyping up players that are never probably going to play first grade. But a couple other news points out of the week. We heard when we talk about teams and out, the stuff we're just talking quickly about Ockenbaugh and was it Harry and
Naira, yeah.
You're in a bit of trouble.
Both been stood down.
Yeah, for some alleged stuff we
that's all
probably won't talk
rumours
about.
at the moment,
yeah.
which we obviously can't talk about, but that weakens their team massively.
Yeah,
this weekend.
big blow for Canterbury. And Paul Gallen and Mark Hunt, apparently the fight's official, so how's that going to turn out? Any opinion there?
Yeah, apparently Hunt signed the contract. They're waiting on Gallen, but...
Yeah, what surprises me with that, right? So obviously, like I saw Gow's response yesterday on Facebook, and he's saying to Hunt, mate, what do you want trying to rush me for? You've had 3 or 4 weeks to sign it. You've got what you want. Yeah. Tell your fans. Now it's up to me to get what I want. But end of the day, you can't tell me the promoters haven't been talking to him for the last 3-4 weeks either.
Yeah,
no, of course.
exactly.
Well, he would have written out the Hunt side of the contract, so he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
But
I struggle to understand how a he's not decorated, but a UFC fighter, a big-time boxer, can be a commission can allow
he's been up the top
to him to fight a bloke that's had 5 boxing matches. I know money speaks all languages, but it's a bit ridiculous that it's been even commissioned, like it's been allowed to happen. But I suppose here it's boxing and no one really cares that much. So They're not like the
to
US commissions.
To be honest, if Gallen doesn't run around the ring and try to win on points, he's going to get knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
And he probably won't fight again.
Yeah.
I think what's in Gal's favour compared to Mark's is that just his conditioning.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
It's got a motor, isn't it,
I've been watching Mark Hunt for years, even when he used to fight in Japan with his kickboxing and all that, mate. So, and that, like, Gal's just in better condition, but
of course,
if he tries to stand toe-to-toe with him, he's going to suffer.
It's not going to end
exactly.
well.
It's going to be either an early knockout, because he's going to hit him harder than he's been hit in his life, or it's going to go a distance where Hunt's not going to keep up.
Mate, I just want to tell your listeners, if you, I recommend go look at Mark Hunt and Ray Sefo on YouTube, and you'll see when those two just stood toe-to-toe and just went blow for blow, head.
Was that in Japan?
Yeah, it was over in
K1 or
Japan,
something?
K1,
yeah.
And they were just like throwing punches, mate. It was like watching WWE wrestling, but it was real.
Tactical fry. No one watches that fake stuff, Robert. And we'll get only other big news with the blips as I order a beer is the NRL ad, the controversy over the NRL ad heading into this season. And the recent sort of almost like a fuck you from Foxtel doing it, some would say properly, and just putting out an alternative. What have you made of the NRL ad, Barney, first of all?
Yeah, well, as we were speaking off air, Foxtel's just gone straight down the line, straight down the middle. Loud music, football, superstars. That's what the fans want to see.
Yeah.
Whereas the NRL's gone a bit more political with putting different parts about the inclusiveness, as you would say, with all the different parts of the community into their ad. At the end of the day, I don't hate either of them. Obviously, I have a preference towards the Fox one because I'm just all about footy. The rest of it can all go talk to someone who cares about it because I'm not too worried about it. But they've done a job. But the preference would be the Fox ad every day of the week.
And Trev, what have you made of it?
Yeah, I was really disappointed in it, mainly when it comes to the girls' game, because that game, the women's game, has come on leaps and bounds, and the NRL ad could only show two girls kissing each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was disgrace. We don't want to sexualise them, but show them that. I understand they're trying to go with the inclusiveness, we don't care if you're straight or gay.
Yeah.
Or whatever your
Well, there wasn't a photo of Ian Roberts on a float somewhere. It was the two women.
Yeah, that's right. So, I remember when they showed that image when after that Origin game, that I remember the media still saying, hey, there's more to the game than just two girls kissing, but they want to throw it in the ad a few years later.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was wrong because the women's game has just come on leaps and bounds, and we don't want to sexualise them. So
I agree. I think at the end of the day, I wasn't offended as offended as some people by the NRL ad. I thought it was, for the most part, just 90% really well done, and I just thought sometimes when you try and prove you're one thing and inclusive, you come across tone deaf by missing the whole point of what's good about the women's game or embracing. They could have done the Indigenous embracement thing by just showing all the kids training at Redfern. And they have the days where they get all the kids coming to Redfern and kick the ball around. Isn't that better than showing Aboriginal flags and stuff?
Or the war dance that they do.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, you can embrace it all that way. I think
Pacific Nation.
It's trying too hard, to be honest. When the Fox ad was, Barnesy at the SFS singing with footy players, doing good stuff around him. And end of the day, the ad's on TV to sell tickets to have people walk into the footy.
that's right.
And which ad are you going to watch? Go, I want to go to the footy tonight. And which I guess both do, but it's like, why even run the risk of having people turn on it when you can just have a simple ad? It's the best. They've got the best product in Australia in terms of a game you watch weekly, and just present it as such. Can't add more on that.
Yeah, I think it comes back to political correctness, and everybody's got to look after everybody else, and they've tried to include that as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the women's game, Trev, have you had much to do with it?
Yeah, mate, I had a little bit to do with the women's game over the years. Back in 2015, I was helping out because I used to do all the ground managing that for New South Wales Rugby League. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot to do with the women's game when it first started, or not first started, but when they taken it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I had a bit to do with it back then. Mate, I remember, sorry, mate, being at the grand finals at Cabramatta. It was on a Saturday night. It was raining. And in the grand final that year was Greenacre versus the Ferrets. and that from over in the Northern Beaches. And
Is that the one on Cabramatta Road West?
yeah,
Big
Cabramatta Leagues Club.
Yep.
Yeah, mate, and like I remember that, and in the Division 2 grand final that year, it was one of the teams from the Central Coast, Warnervale, and versus Baralla Bears, and that was 2 divisions, and just also like my dad used to help out started up the local. Along with Paul Bent, who's coached the Indigenous, he was the assistant coach to the Indigenous women's team, and he coached the Mounties in the New South Wales Harvey Norman. And this year he's assistant to Mick Potter for the Ron Massey Cup side. They actually started the girls and women's program at Glenmore Park, and I remember when they first said, we want to start it, everyone laughed at them, said it's not going to work. They started it, they won their first game by 80-odd points, and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. So, like, I've seen the girls' game grow over the years, and it's gone good. It's still got a long way to go, but compared to where it used to be, mate, like, it's gone great guns, especially out here in the Penrith district.
Yep. Barney, the women's game, as you might want to put your microphone to your mouth. It's podcast work.
Excuse me. I haven't seen a great deal of it. I do watch bits and pieces of it. There's some tremendous athletes. It's just pure footy, you know. They just run hard. They're not. The structure's not there. It's just play what's in front of you, and it's some very good football. But is there the plan going ahead? Is there more teams to be introduced next year or two? Or?
Yeah, so they want to bring more teams into the NRLW.
Yeah,
and that they want to bring in. They reckon there's not enough talent at the moment. Like, I disagree, and I've disagreed with it from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And this is nothing against Jamie Feeney and all that at the NRL, and that. But I think what they're trying to do is protect the girls who've been around before, obviously come along. Because when you go back and watch the New South Wales women Harvey Norman, those girls who are contracted, they go back and play for their club sides, and they're getting beat up by teams who are basically got a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
So I understand where they're coming from, because obviously some of these girls are training on a more regular basis, been in an elite system, but at the same time, there is a lot of talent out there to form more teams.
The game's got to be allowed to improve too as well. I think it's happened a bit with cricket, and it's happened. The best analogy is probably MMA fighters. Like 20 years ago, MMA fighters were either boxers, jiu-jitsu guys, whatever.
Yeah. Now,
if you train to be an MMA fighter, you train all things. So the MMA fighters these days are so much more skilled than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the women's cricketers now. They're allowed to be professional, and the women's footballers now they're in an elite system. Yep. Then they're going to naturally be better, because from the time they're in theory 12 or 13, they're in an elite system to be trained to be better. So they're going to be better than what the ones that were before them.
Oh, that's right.
Which should be embraced, really.
Oh, definitely.
I think the women's product's the best women's sport, apart from, speaking of MMA, the best UFC fight of the year was 2 women on the weekend who tried to kill each other, which probably win fight of the year. But it's the best product week in, week out of women's sport to watch. It's easier to watch than the torture of women's cricket or the women's AFL, where you watch 6 points play 8 points or something. But it's just, like I said, natural footy, easy to watch, good to watch. Anything else to add before we move on to the next subject?
I was just talking about the underage program.
Well, that was
pretty sure that's the next stop. That's where we're going.
Look at this, we're on the same page, Barney. Now, Trev, you got a bit of media coverage for an article you wrote pointing out the changes to junior rugby league that have been possibly flagged. They're not widespread yet, but they're being tested in Queensland.
That's right.
Do you want to give everyone who hasn't read your article a bit of a précis? It can be found on Serious About Rugby League.
Yes.
Under the features section, you can find it in there. But do you want to give everyone a quick précis on what you've written?
Yeah, so basically the NRL and the ARLC Commission have trialled new junior rules up in Queensland throughout different regions, and basically they want to just change it where kids can't start tackling until they're 8 years old. They want to limit on how many times they can train a week, no competition until they turn 13. Like, it was just... There's so much, like I could sit here all night, but I don't want to go take it up all the time. So if you do, I recommend read it. And also check out The Final Whistle, because it's on there as well, because that's where it went really big with the boys and that. Like, I remember when the boys posted on there, on the Facebook page, Nathan Peach took a screenshot, put it on his Twitter, and Andrew Bogut jumped on board.
Yeah.
And we just had that many people, and it just went crazy like you wouldn't believe. And and that made heaps of people. So with that, during the week, New South Wales Rugby League came out and said nowhere in New South Wales for this year will be using those rules. But I know majority of the other states throughout Australia, they have adopted those rules. But at the end of the day, what really annoys me is you've got Penrith District Junior Rugby League, the biggest junior rugby league in the world, and not once anyone from the NRL has spoken to them to find out what do they do right.
Yeah.
And that was so, because the game's growing out here. Like, I know people saying, oh, it's a population growth, but they're still getting kids playing the game.
Yeah.
So I just think, me personally, I know if I was Dave Trotter or whoever at New South Wales Rugby League, I'd just be saying to the districts, okay, we recommend you to use these rules, but find out what's working for you. Because I know, for example, like over in areas like your Balmains and all that, you got to look at the different backgrounds of people. So, like, obviously, but some people don't have that rugby league background, so these rules can work for them. But out here in Penrith, mate, just leave it the way it is.
But that said, even around Inner West, it's been a strong rugby league culture for a long time with Western Suburbs, Parramatta, all the juniors. They've got some great juniors running Cabramatta, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, well, I wouldn't really call Parramatta like Inner West. I still call
that's true. They're the same comp, are they? Parramatta comp? Or is it two? Does Inner West play Parramatta comp?
Yeah, no, Parramatta's their comp on their own. So in the Inner West, like, some of the comps have actually had to merge just due to numbers.
Yep.
And so you got the inner city comp.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's up to different teams, and you got regions and that. So it just depends on numbers more than anything.
Yeah.
But like, I reckon some of those regions, like around Balmain and all that, like, you know, with the different backgrounds of people, like, I think some of those rules are good to encourage new people into the game. But when the game's at its strongest, I just think just leave it and let each district make up their mind.
Yep. Barney, any thoughts?
Yeah, no,
you read the article?
Read the article, mate. Very well written. It was. I agree with you on pretty much every point that you made on it. To be honest, no competition till 13. That really irks me.
That's ridiculous.
Like, seriously, like, what are you playing the game for? So you can run around and, you know.
Well, why have tries? Like, why not just play bull rush?
That's
really?
it, British Bulldog.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You're teaching kids it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And the similar sort of thing happened at cricket there a couple of years back. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they stripped out some rules and stuff. At the end of the day, you need to. There's been some really great articles written about the importance of learning to lose.
Yeah, that mentality of everyone gets a trophy because you turned up. I mean, if you're good enough, you're good enough. If you're not, you're not. If you still love to play, you play it because you love to play it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And
that's it. Because, like, I remember as a junior playing, you know, like, we knew more games you won, especially if you win the grand final, the bigger trophy you got in the year. But if you came last, man, you don't get a small participation trophy.
Yeah,
and when you just look at it, it's like, what's a point? Throw it away.
Yeah.
And just learning to win and lose, mate, it's life lessons, because in life, like, you know, we all know life isn't fair.
Well, it's creating the age of entitlement that everyone whinges about. As someone that's been around rugby league their whole life, how important is it to teach proper tackling as early as you can?
I think it's good for conditioning.
Yeah.
Because quicker you teach the kids on how to tackle properly, it's like tying up your shoelaces. You teach a kid how to tie their shoelaces up, and it just becomes like nothing to them. But another thing, because I did write another article not long after the original one, and what the game also needs to do, because I remember when I first became a coach, okay, you go out a couple of nights a week for a few weeks, do your course, but then the coaching coordinator will turn up to your training sessions. You wouldn't know they're there, and they'll just sit back and watch on how you're training. Then they'll turn up to your games, seeing how you coach on game day. And that was all part of the whole course. And if they were happy with you, then you got your coaching certificate.
Yeah.
And they don't do that anymore. And I feel like there's no, what's that word? There's no more reward or trying to entice coaches to become coaches anymore. Like, I've got nothing against the mum and dads who put their hands up, which, like, you know, because without the volunteers, like, there is no game for the juniors. But I just think, like, we've got to bring more coaches back to junior rugby league. And give the coaches better education. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's a problem across all junior sport now. It's a lot of... And it's not... Yeah, there's a lack of volunteers and a lack of decent people willing to coach and give up time to improve the next generation, really.
Oh, that's right.
And the limit on games a week was the other mind-scratching one, because you might be able to talk about this. So it's essentially one training session and one game a week, and then it's one training session and 2 games a week.
Yeah, it just depends on the ages. Like, obviously, I haven't got it on me at the moment, but... Just for example...
You can find the article. I've got it somewhere, but you're right, yeah.
And so just basically, what really annoys me is that kids, when they get older, obviously definitely in primary school and high school, you got like your schoolboy rep sides or playing for your school. So the kids got to make their mind up. What's more important, playing club footy on the weekend or playing for your school side or a chance to play rep footy? I know if you're in high school, definitely no senior years, and you know you're a good player and you got the opportunity to represent Australian schoolboys, what's going to be more important for you? Because you've got the gala days you got to play, and what are these junior clubs as well? And this is going to affect junior clubs. What are they going to do for gala days? Because some of those gala days are their big money raisers that pay for presentations in the year.
I lived out in the bush, out of Barraba, out the back of Tamworth, and we used to go to the Coonabarabran Cup every year. You'd play 13 games in 2 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're only 15, 20-minute games, but you play 15, 20 minutes and you play 13 games in 2 days. Right. And if you're good enough, obviously, you play more games because you get through. And we won it a couple of years in a row, but, I would love that as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to go, I've played me one game, I'm not going to play again until next week.
As simple as you used to go to school, we'd play footy for half hour before the bell went. You'd play footy for 20 minutes of recess, and then it'd be lunchtime.
And then you go home and play footy
and then you have 20 minutes before the bus got there. Yeah. And it was, but like, kids bounce. They should be like that.
Tackling technique as well, just back to that. I remember growing up playing footy from 8 years old. The kids that come in on their first year, they get knocked out constantly. Yeah. They put their head in the wrong position, they get a knee to the face, they get a hip to the side of the head, and they get knocked out. And the blokes who know how to tackle, been playing for a year or two, it doesn't happen to those kind of guys. And if you don't have that technique, it's not going to be good.
No, but because basically what I found, what they're basing it on, and you see it in the media, when they show like a real big kid running over top of a small kid, they want to base it on that. But you can tell by watching the video that that's not Division 1. Because if a kid who plays Division 1 will know how to tackle the big fella.
Yeah, you drop him straight down.
And you can tell by the technique.
Yeah.
And then I tell everyone that.
Or vice versa, the good halfback in Division 1 will be running rings around the big fella.
That's right, 100%. Yeah. So it just comes down to the individual and what people want to play. Like I understand the mums and dads out there, like not so much the dads, but it's more the mums. They don't want to see their little Johnny getting hurt. But at the same time, it all comes back to, as I mentioned, about coaching the coaches and making sure that they're teaching the kids the right way.
Oh, the biggest injury I ever had playing football was someone fell on my foot and, busted my ankle. Then, I made a good tackle and he just fell the wrong way and fell on me. That happens to me.
That's it. There's always a risk in everything you're doing. And then another thing as well that annoys me, people will say, the contact sport. Rugby league's not just a contact sport, it's a collision sport. So when they want to try to take things out of contact sport, Oztag's a contact sport, netball is a contact sport, basketball is a contact sport.
Yeah.
So they got to see the difference between a contact sport and a collision sport.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. So I think that's covered off a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about you with. So we'll just take a quick break and get into the NRL preview for the year. So the footy kicking off this weekend. Take a very quick break and, quick for the listeners because there won't be a break. But for us, I'm going to grab a beer and going to switch a setting around and make sure Director Spielberg on the left here is happy. And we'll keep going with our NRL preview just after this.